Hi, I'm Theron King T. Washington, aka King Chocolate from Los Angeles.
And I am Anne Naylor, aka Queen Vanilla of the French Riviera.
Mm. And we're here to share with you our views from two different worlds.
Combining hope, humor, and a sweetness in life.
Yum, yum. So today, and what came to my mind was differentiating weaknesses and strengths. Now, I had a conversation with a client the other day, and he had, I asked him the question, why have someone like myself as your coach or your mentor? And he said to me, so I can have someone like you help me to focus on my weaknesses. And when I heard that from my learnings and everything in the past, different studies and other professionals I listen to, they're always pointing out or touching on focusing on weaknesses is really something that will hold you back or set you back or slow down your momentum. Um, and I have a couple different examples about that as well in my life. But what came to mind was that, it's weaknesses that they are part of you, a part of who you are. So does it mean you should really not bring them up and look at them and maybe try to dissect them or do anything with them? So my thinking is identifying weaknesses, I believe is something that we should all do, identifying what they are. For example, if you are working on a program with the team, then it's good. My belief is it's good to know that when you identify a weakness that you have, to get that project to move along at a smoother, quicker, faster rate, to be more effective with time, efficiency, that I'm able to share with someone like, hey, this is a part where I'm not really doing that well at, or I'm kind of slow or still learning, or it's just a weakness of mine. If that's your strength, let me hand this off to you. So, handing things off to people to where you might feel like I might hold things back or slow things down too much. So I believe that identifying your weakness is a good thing to do. And as far as strength is concerned, I believe that we should really focus on how to make our strengths more impactful, like how to really build on them. What I said to him was identifying your weakness, I believe, focusing on your strengths is something that I believe that is will take you along further in your life and what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, a point, I agree with what you say there, but a point of view I have is that in terms of the individual, what has shown up as a weakness can be transformed into a strength. And so, for example, my own experience has been at one time I couldn't communicate. I mean, that sounds really weird, but I literally would watch people talking to see how they did it, because I'd find I'd say words and they didn't connect with people. They kind of dropped to the floor. And it was a very lonely experience. And what I learned to communicate by watching people and seeing how they interacted. So I made a study of communication, not through books, just through watching how people did it. And now, of course, what I'm doing, my profession is all about communication. But it started off from not being able to communicate. So in a way, I turned the whole thing around. And what was a profound weakness and isolation became actually my greatest strength in many, many ways. To be able to coach, writing is another way of communicate. But the key for me is making the contact. So I learned, I wouldn't say it was exactly a hard way. The learning was easy. The weakness was the painful bit. And that's what prompted me to make sure I could do it. It was the resilience, or I would say I call it the human spirit in me, motivated me to, I'm going to conquer this thing. I'm going to make it work for me. I didn't even think in those words as such, but that's what I did. So I developed from a weakness a great strength. So I think there's also a possibility in there. So yes, and working as a member of a team, you want to do like you were describing there. But I think in this time where very much learning is important, and organizations can offer learning to people. So if someone identifies a weakness, they could potentially apply for training to develop that particular weakness into a strength. So when they leave, they may move to another job at some time, but when they leave that particular organization, they go with something more than they arrived with. And I particularly like, a friend of mine has written books on the learning organization. So organization can actually nurture and feed their employees through learning. And in a way, that's what people, you go to work because you need money, but what motivates people is opportunity to expand and become more of who they are. And lifelong learning is just a profound gift that corporations, organizations can potentially offer to employees. So weaknesses, yes, of course, we've all got them. And we don't want to be a victim of them. But we have the opportunity. There's an opportunity in there. That's the hope factor.
I like what you said about not wanting to be a victim of your weaknesses. And I think that is something that really, it should be really stressed for people. Like if you're focusing on your weakness, you could allow it to be something that will hinder you.
Yes.
And at the same time, you said by you knowing your weakness, it allowed you to take more action and build in that area where you gain more strength.
Exactly.
That's what I heard from you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a real plus in that, because you become more of who you were when you started. And I've been hearing amazing stories of people who, with incredible difficulties, like there was a person I was hearing about who developed blindness and thought his life was finished because he grew blind over a number of years. I think from the age of 13 to 20 or something, his sight deteriorated. He has some condition. And yet now he's phenomenally successful. And because he doesn't see, he can see through sound. I mean, that sounds really weird, but when he hears sound, he sees things. And when they say you lose one sense and you gain another. And I believe that life is, here we go, upward spiral. So wherever we think we might have a disadvantage, potentially we have a great advantage. But if we sit in our weakness, so if we think we're a woman or a black or whatever the popular disadvantage might be, we can stay stuck in that, or say, I'm not going to be stuck in that. I'm going to make something of who I am and my life, and I'm going to make a contribution and knock the socks off everyone, because I can do that. Now I love that spirit in people. And I think one of the joys in coaching work I do is tuning in to the spirit in a person, maybe helping them or identifying a weakness, and then looking at my creative imagination, how, if they wished, how could they turn that around and become a strength?
Well, something I just heard, and talking about your weakness, something I just heard was, where I felt was that even though you had this weakness in your communication at one point, what I sense is that your strength lied in your desire to want to do better or be better, to move past that weakness.
I wanted to communicate. I wanted to make contact with people.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you wanted something. So that desire itself, yes, that was a strength, I believe. I would say your focus was on that desire of you wanting something.
Yes, I didn't think in that way at the time, but if you to look at it now, yeah, that would pull me forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes people need that encouragement, which can come from a coach, to believe in themselves enough to have that desire to overcome whatever the weakness is. I think that's a hugely valuable part that a coach can play, or a mentor, or a good friend.
Yeah.
It's like having someone who believes in you and holds for your strength showing up. I mean, that's beyond price. I mean, that's just so valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Like yesterday, I was talking with another coaching student, and in our conversation, she was telling me how she was holding herself back by not reaching out and connecting with people in order to build her coaching practice.
Okay.
So what I did was I gave her a challenge, and the challenge was for her, while we're on Zoom right now, face to face, I said, I want you to pick up your phone and call someone and make it and give them an invitation, invite them to have a coaching conversation with you at a later date. And she really felt like, she felt the nerve, right? She felt the nervousness. At the same time, she felt this excitement because even though she may have felt weak at that time, like she felt like, oh, I'm just not good enough or positive enough. Um, how can I? I've only been doing this for a few months. So her doubts, so her fears are really overtaking her. But by me issuing that challenge face to face, she all of a sudden, she felt this drive, right? This desire to just take on the challenge. And what she did was she ended up calling 3 different people within 15 minutes, and all those people she made invitations to, and they all said yes. And she just overjoyed, excited, and she saw like her weakness, but what she saw also was a strength inside of her that was able to be pulled out of her from having someone like myself, a coach or mentor,
Yeah.
just to believe in her and issue her a challenge that would actually propel her and move her forward.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
I
it was
love
exciting for both of us.
Yes. Well, it is when one person wakes up to an ability they have, the enthusiasm between the two of you grows. It's like, yes, someone's woken up to that. And yeah, to me, it's totally thrilling when that happens.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes. Yes. Mm. Another story that I was talking to you earlier, Anne, another story that came to my mind pertaining to weakness and strength. It takes me back to when I was 13 years of age, and I was being bullied. And it was a very painful moment for me. It's still a little painful because it's like it just happened recently. And I remember walking away, going home, crying, and just falling on the floor. Just, I don't know. It was just a lot of pain I was going through because I felt helpless.
Yeah.
Well, a little background on that was I was always the kid who would take up for my friends. And now my friends, they were around seeing me be bullied.
Mm.
So that really hurt. That really hurt. Because now I look, in my mind, I'm like, I'm weak. I don't think they saw me as that because it was one of me against maybe seven other boys.
Mm.
And I backed down but I saw myself as being weak, even though I don't think my friends saw that because they were like, no, man, it was just too many of them. But I was like, no, I'm weak, I'm weak, I'm weak. So what that did was that actually it drove me to see life in a whole different way, which was if these bullies, because we had quite a few in our neighborhood at the time, and I said, if these bullies continue, if they're allowed to continue this way, I don't know how many people are going to be subjected to this kind of abuse. So right then and there, I started exercising. I got a karate teacher. Some time went past. I got a weightlifting instructor. Some more time passed. I learned some boxing. And then so a couple years passed. And those bullies, they saw me because the weights made me a little bigger and stronger looking. And they were like, oh, you're big and stronger, but what can you still do? And I ended up taking out one of their top guys. And
you said taking out. Can you just explain that to me?
okay. So that taking out where there was a guy who a lot of the bullies feared, and he approached me, and I beat him.
Mm.
Yeah, I beat him, and from that point on, these people respected me, and then they also started respecting the people who were around me, my friends.
Mm.
So I used that time of feeling weak, and I made it into a strength, like you said. I made it into a strength. My desires more so for protecting myself. Well, really, my desire was more so for protecting my friends because I thought about them and how I wasn't able to protect them at that moment, and it really got to me. So that desire, that was my strength, me wanting to be there for others in a powerful way, really affected me. So
that's still the case with you, isn't it? Be there for others.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I'm on a crusade now, and
King Chocolate's crusade.
Yes, yes, yes. Would you take up the rear, Anne, being my Queen Vanilla in the rear?
Do I have to be in the rear?
Well, no, well, you don't have to be. We can go side by side. I'm all for side by side.
I think it's side by side. You know, Queen Vanilla is still a queen.
Yes,
Being
yes.
up
You're right. You're
there.
right. Because I'm truly affected and by how so many women and children are being taken advantage of, even in this country. Like, I mean, in the United States, there are more there's more slavery going on now in our country alone than it was 200 years ago when slavery was actually legal.
Really?
Yes, yes, there are many children and women being kidnapped and being forced into slavery, being sex slaves and so on and so forth, different things like that.
Hmm.
Yes. So I read articles. My pastor at church, he mentioned it. I've heard it from other people who've talked about this or different documentaries who says that slavery is more prevalent now than it was 200 years ago when it was legal. And I'm like, but see, why don't we see? Look at your face. Why don't we know that much about it, Anne? Because there's a blind eye being turned to that, right? People are really like, oh, it's not me. It's not me. It's not happening in my family or my life. So I'm just going to I'm going to ignore it.
Hmm.
That's my belief anyway, because it's not. I don't see like on the news. I don't hear about people saying, "Oh, we have to put an end to this. We have to let's get together and stop, people from being kidnapped and abused." And I don't know, Anne, but I feel deeply about it.
I can tell you do. Well, I think we could be leading up for another conversation from this. I'm not quite sure where that will go to, but I reckon we touched on a weakness and strength, but you've surfaced something else which I think is really interesting. Yeah. And what a one person can do, or what a king and queen can do. I mean, who knows?
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awareness is a precious gift.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. So yeah, well, Anne, so I want to thank you very much because this has really been enlightening for myself, just to be able to surface what's inside of me and bring it out,
Yes.
And so it's like therapeutic, really, to be honest, just to be able to speak on these different subjects that we come here every couple of weeks and we talk on and we share with the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's valuable. I appreciate it too.
Yeah.
It's enriching.
Yes.
And it's very sweet.
Yeah, right. Yes.
We like sweet. We do like sweet. We wouldn't be Chocolate and Vanilla if we didn't like sweet.
And you don't want to know about I have some sweet stories from my past, which were, whoo, and I really had to get a handle on my sweetness, and so you would be proud of me now.
I am sure, yes.
I had a sweet tooth so bad where I bought over 400 bags of chocolates, and I stored them in my attic so I could have them throughout the year.
Oh my God, this is serious. No wonder you're called Chocolate.
Yeah, right.
You've earned it. You have really earned it.
Right. Yeah.
Good name for you.
Yeah. I can tell that story at a different time, though. I have an old story behind that. So.
Okay, well, look forward to that one.
Yes. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. Me and Ann, we had some fun here, just touching on some really, some really touchy subjects that really can bring out the best in people, can bring out the worst in people. Mm-hmm. Weaknesses, strengths.
We're going for the best, Chocolate.
We're going for the best, sweetie. Yes, definitely. Well, see that, Ann, instead of just getting off, you just tapped into something else in my mind. I think of our government and the weaknesses and strengths in our government, but I won't go there because we'd be on here for another hour at least.
No. We're not going there, Chocolate. We've done well for this one.
Yes. But it may come up at another time. We may talk about that, though. So, yeah. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yes. Tune in, watch the video. Any responses you want to give, we thank you very much.
We do.
Anything, Ann? Anything?
Look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for being with us.
Yes. Take care. God bless.
God bless. Bye.